So guys, I'm going to allow you to take a look at the reaction of Rufai that has been trending on the social media. This is coming after a spokesperson for Buhari came out to say if Buhari had not gone to London to get treatment, he would have died earlier before now. That video has been trending on the social media and people have been reacting on the failure of Nigerian leaders in building hospitals that actually work. Now, this northerner has come out to say that the problem of Nigeria is not world-class hospitals, that we have many world-class hospitals, but rather the politicians are afraid of their information being leaked on the social media. I mean, there's no privacy protection laws in Nigeria, so many Nigerian politicians are afraid that their information will leak immediately they attend or they visit any Nigeria health facility. Many people have, reacted to this video of this northerner. There was a real backlash. People are saying that it is the same politicians who failed to make laws in the same lawmakers who refused to make the laws. They are the ones going out to the other countries. The same presidents who supposed to make those laws to work in Nigeria. They are the ones going out to get treatments in other countries. People have also argued that people like King Charles in the United Kingdom, he has cancer. It was made public. Even the former president of the United States, Joe Biden, was sick. It was made public that if you are a public servant, even if you are sick of anything, you are supposed to allow it to be made public.
So I've seen comments like this saying Nigerian politicians run abroad for medical care because our hospitals here are trash. What is my problem with most Nigerians? You guys can't think past your sentiments, to be honest, especially when it involves politicians or our leaders. So now let me educate you, not for the sake of defending them, but for the sake of awareness. The reason most Nigerian politicians don't use hospitals here, it's not because our hospitals can't treat them. I mean, far from it. Nigeria actually has world-class hospitals. Urachia, Reddington, St. Nicholas, there are lots of them. Just because you don't know them don't mean that they don't exist. And these places perform major surgeries, diagnostics, kidney transplants, and more every single day. But here's the catch: privacy, data security, and medical secrecy. In Nigeria, you can't even go for a malaria test without your result becoming someone else's status or gist by evening if you are a politician or our leader. And that's the truth. One hospital staff sees your file, suddenly your condition is trending on Twitter. And that's our reality. In countries like UK, medical records are protected by law. But in Nigeria, they can even be weaponized, used for headlines or political chess. So, no, I'm not saying that what they are doing is right. But I'm saying the system itself is broken, even though they broke it themselves. And even healthcare, dignity can't be guaranteed here. Until we fix that, don't be surprised when the people that broke the system don't trust it enough to heal inside it. And that's our reality.
Femi Adesina, a former spokesperson for the late President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated during a live television interview that Buhari would likely have died much earlier if he had relied on Nigerian hospitals for his medical treatment. Adesina defended the former president's frequent medical trips to London, stating that Buhari had consistently received medical care in the United Kingdom even before becoming president in 2015. Let's take a look.
He always had his medicals in London, even when he was not in office. So it was not about the time he was president alone. He had always had it in London. And then you have to be alive first to get certain things changed or corrected in your country. If he had said, I'll do my medicals in Nigeria just as a show off or something, he could have long been dead, because there may not be the expertise needed in the country. But he needed to be alive to be able to lead the country to a point where we will have that expertise. So those who glibly talk of going abroad, they don't know that a man needs to be alive first before you can effect a change.
I mean, this conversation went viral. You know, Buhari had spent at least 200 days in London for medical treatment during his 8-year tenure as president. I mean, these medical trips sparked public outcry regarding foreign medical tourism by public officials and the poor state of Nigerian hospitals. Well, let me take a tweet, I believe. The former president's death has elicited mixed reactions, reflecting several major controversies that characterize his time in power, both as a military head of state and as a democratically elected president. Key controversies, Adefemi, let me tell you. One was the raid of judges' homes in 2016. During his civilian presidency, the Department of State Services conducted controversial midnight raids on the homes of several senior judges alleging corruption. This action was widely condemned by critics as an attack on judicial independence. Then you remember when he talked about lazy Nigerian youths, that comment in 2018, his comment which implied that many Nigerian youths were content to do nothing, which sparked widespread outrage and lazy Nigerian youth hashtag, if you remember that, highlighting a perceived disconnect between the government and the struggles of young people. Then there was the Twitter ban in 2021, following Twitter's deletion of one of Buhari's tweets for violating its policies. His government banned the platform in Nigeria for 7 months. Remember that? That was really a conversation that made a lot of young people upset. Many viewed this as an overreach and an attempt to stifle dissent, although the government cited national security concerns. Then there was the SARS and the Lekki toll gate shooting in 2020. I believe this was a defining moment and arguably the greatest stain on his legacy. The nationwide protest against police brutality under the hashtag SARS movement ended abruptly when soldiers opened fire on unarmed demonstrators at the Lekki toll gate. Buhari's subsequent televised address, which largely ignored the killings, further fueled public anger and widened the trust deficits. And of course, the Naira redesign debacle in 2023 towards the end of his second term. The sudden Naira redesign policy led to severe cash scarcity, causing widespread public frustration, economic disruption, and protests across the country. Then, of course, the extended medical trips, which we would like to highlight. These controversies significantly marred his time in office.
He did not show those vestiges when he got power. The way judges were arrested, raided in the night, the things that happened, the way he allowed the economy of this country go down. It was a do-it-yourself recession. Nigeria had no problems. President Buhari for 6 months. At first, Mr. Femi Adesina, same Mr. Femi Adesina that has the temerity to tell us that if he was a Nigerian doctors, he will have long passed.
Yes.
This same government that told us that they were clearing the Ogian stable. For 6 months, they didn't have ministers, so there was no leadership. And with due respect, Mr. Femi Adesina, it's best you don't even say things like that to us in Nigeria. Because the same hospital where Buhari died, there are Nigerians working there. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? How about you talk about providing centers of excellence in Nigeria? When they set up the federal medical centers, we're not supposed to be centers of excellence. Which country that we like to compare ourselves with, when Boris Johnson was sick of COVID, he went to St. Thomas.
Yes. In Bridge.
Trump goes to Water Reed.
Exactly.
Why would you tell us something like that? And the fact is, Nigerians work in the hospital Buhari died. Mm-hmm. So are you thinking those Nigerians can bring their competency if we make it available for us to be able to do things properly? So don't tell us things like that. Then NSAS happened, which is unforgivable. We have never healed from NSAS. You see, healing comes from, and you remember you were right when you were talking about healing yesterday. But in response to healing comes from justice, Vimbai.
Truth, justice, and reconciliation.
People have not seen justice being done. Because I know what happened in NSA. Yes, money was given. Money is not justice. Money for lives, limbs that were broken, 5-10 million naira, is that what will bring justice back? Justice is acceptance of hurts. Mm-hmm. So if Nigeria want to heal, leaders will learn to tell the truth. So we celebrate him, but his life also shows for other leaders coming at the back that, see, there's a lot of work to be done, and we must be careful.
Absolutely. Vimbai, I mean, that viral photograph of President Tinubu taking a bow made headlines. I mean, it's basically the picture of the day. I'd like your thoughts on Buhari's efforts, the efforts he made for the funeral rites of our late President, Muhammadu Buhari.
Okay, the efforts made by President Tinubu, I think that we do need to commend him because he was given an honorable, dignified state funeral. Especially given the context that we know that in the context of Islamic burials, simplicity and humility are paramount. However, given that, he was still able to pay attention to the small details. In the morning, I spoke about, you know, the body coming out of the front cabin of the airplane as opposed to out of the cargo, which might look like a minuscule detail, but if you're looking at it in the broader context of optics, it's a huge honor to say that, no, we're not putting you in the cargo. We're going to bring you out of the same door that you would have walked into going into the aircraft.
He was in the same cabin. I mean, like the presidents, usually presidents stay in the cabin for the plane, not in the cargo hold, right?
In some countries, you do find them in the cargo hold when they're returning back. We've seen it. It has happened in Zimbabwe when Robert Mugabe was brought back, and it happens in some instances. But I thought that was extremely honorable, and just the entire journey, especially because this is the second time in Nigeria's history that we're witnessing this. The late President Umar Yar'Adua was also from Katsina, so this is the second state funeral that we're seeing taking place in Katsina. A little bit different because with the late Umar Yar'Adua, we saw the Islamic rites were held in a stadium, but I think that was more about the proximity to his resting place as opposed to the drive to Daura, where they went into the military ambulance to Daura, and all of the proceedings took place. The gravesite for me is really just what knocked me out completely. I spoke earlier about Yusuf Buhari, the son, and just his role, because remember publicly before he had been, he'd been perceived as the young man who was just enjoying his father's presidency, riding his power bike around Abuja. But to see him just being this mature life, this is life, this is how life humbles you. Mature man, he took control, he was the man of the occasion, representing the family.
We saw Diko Rada
in tears, which also goes to show you just the impact on the politics of Katsina. And this was more than a political father to him. This was a real father to him. So in general, and then of course the Vice President Kashim Shettima also leading them in putting this the soil, the earth onto the grave. I mean, I think that there's nothing great about funerals. It's that one occasion that is inevitable for us all, but nobody looks forward to. But in the context of being able to send someone off in a way that is worthy of their stature and their status. This is not a moment that's about what you did right or what you did wrong. It's just a moment about honoring the high office that you were able to attain. And I hope that it can set a precedent in future that politics should not be involved when it comes to laying our political figures, our state figures, national figures to rest, as we have seen being done in the past. I know the family of Shehu Shagari is saying, well, we weren't granted this honor. So I hope that we can now see that let's take politics out of it. When it comes to this, let's just give everybody the respect accorded to them through their office.
Before I take a reaction, Adefemi, I'd like your thoughts on, basically the way I highlighted those controversies. And those controversies were the ones that trailed his civilian rule. There were other controversies during his military era. The Maradiko. Absolutely. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that when we're looking at the checkered part of his legacy and his history, it is these examples, to use Rufai's words of empirical facts, it is these issues that people rely on and refer to when they speak negatively about his time as a democratically elected president. Just to focus on SARS, because as you've said, that was the greatest stain on his legacy. And to this day, there are people who are affected who haven't even had the respect of the government, letting them know where the remains of their loved ones are. So imagine how they feel.
You being on the field.
Absolutely.
You were one of the people that reported the second SARS.
The 1 year anniversary at the toll gate. And unfortunately, we ended up
finding ourselves in a clash with the police, which is, I guess, by the side of the issue, but it just underscores that that problem actually hasn't been tackled. That the police, even though they were legitimately hurt during the protest, the protests were because of them and their actions, and it remains an issue to this day.
Absolutely.
And for the people who died at the toll gate, this must be a slap in the face to watch a funeral. Not saying that he should not have had a state funeral, but it does reignite these feelings of unfairness. For many people, they feel as though the former president is responsible for the pain that they are still unable to get the real recognition for to this day.
All right, I'll take a tweet from Civil Rights International. They wrote on X, on the demise of the former Nigerian president, Muhammadu Buhari, while we send our condolences to his family and loved ones, his death is an apt reminder that politicians should learn that no amount of accumulated wealth in pounds and dollars, properties overseas, fame, power and control, access to the world's best clinics, nor a political party can prolong one's life when death comes calling. Man journeys home with absolutely nothing. Legacy is all that matters. Buhari will be remembered for ending Nigeria's Second Republic democratic rule abruptly in 1983 through a coup d'etat and leaving the country more impoverished in 2023 when he left office as civilian president than the situation he met in 2015 when he took over. Well, Daniel Bwala wrote, there is time for everything. There will be time for politics, but for the duration of time that President Tinubu declared for mourning, our departed former president would pay our respect to the great departed leader that this nation was lucky to have during his time in this life. The nation is still mourning the death of the people's general. May his soul rest in peace. Then there was also reports circulating on social media that claim that the late Muhammadu Buhari owned 5 properties located in Kaduna, Daura, Kanu, and Abuja. His extensive agricultural holdings reportedly include farms, an orchard, a ranch with 270 cattle, 25 sheep, 5 horses, and various birds. Reports indicate that he approximately had $150,000 in his personal bank account, along with 30 million naira in a Union Bank account. He also held shares in Berger Paints, Union Bank, and Sky Bank. Or during a meeting with King Charles in the United Kingdom back in November 2022, the late former president disclosed that any property he had were acquired before he assumed office and expressed that he felt much freer when he had nothing.
And he asked me whether I have a house here. I say no. I have, even in Nigeria, the only house I have are those I had before I got into government. And I'm not very much interested in having, assets all over the place. I feel much more freer when I have nothing.
Now, we remember this video. I mean, we've always known that Buhari is a very simple man and frugal as well, they say. Well, also here's a compilation of unforgettable moments of the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari, who is considered one of the most humorous leaders Nigeria has ever had. Let's take a look.
What do you miss the most about being in office?
Miss? Oh, dear me. I don't think I miss much. You can only try. It's a terrific country. No matter what you do, there are people on daily basis that look for your faults and go to the press. So you have to learn to live by that.
Somebody said that I'm clone. No wonder I forgot it until I was reminded by it.
I was even called Baba Go Slow. No, those who are going fast, where did they go to?
I am not going to demand any apology from anybody. What I am demanding is the return of assets. This is what I'm asking for. What would I do with apology? I need something tangible.
I intend to keep my oath and serve as president to all Nigerians. I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
We have no other country but Nigeria. Anybody who thought he has any other country than Nigeria, goodbye. You can go. We are here, and we are determined to rehabilitate our country, especially for our children and our grandchildren. I don't know which party my wife belongs to, but she belongs to my kitchen and my living room and the other room. I'm looking forward to tomorrow to fly to my base and go back to my cows and sheep, which are much easier to control than fellow Nigerians. I thank you very much indeed.
Buhari ti sọ̀rọ̀ àti gbọ́. 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 Ó tún yá ṣe bàbá, ṣe Buhari, ṣe bàbá, ṣe Buhari, ṣe bàbá, ṣe Buhari.
Your experience has been infectious. I don't know when I dance in public last. I thank you very much, and God bless all of us.
Say Baba. I love the way you all were laughing. I mean, for me, when he said, they call me Baba Go Slow. Those who are running, where have they been? I mean, he was really iconic with some of those notes that he dropped before he passed. Well, the late Muhammadu Buhari was loved by millions of supporters, both home and abroad, from the moment he became a civilian president in 2015 to the moment he returned to his home after his 8-year tenure as president, and ultimately to the moment he was laid to rest. Let's take a look.
King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud permitted that the golden door of the Grand Kaaba be opened for President Muhammadu Buhari and his entire delegation to the holy city of Mecca. Consequently, the circumambulation of the Kaaba was virtually put on hold in the early hours of Friday as the Saudi security personnel created a barricade to allow the Nigerian leader and his team unfettered access to the Kaaba, considered as the center of the world and a replica of the House of Allah.
The general. May his soul rest in peace. Rufai.
May his soul rest in peace and continue to rest. Like I said for 2 days now, the death of every man diminishes us, John Donne. I mean, he was a humorous man. Buhari had quick one-liners. Oji, this is even small compared to people that were with him in his closet. Buhari is one of quick-wit jokes about many things, like Al-Bashir did say yesterday. It was even part of his joke that made some Nigerians misunderstand him, you know. Was loved by his family, was loved by people in the north. And you see, what we also forget is he was also loved a lot leading up to the 2015 elections in the south. He had a lot of goodwill. Where was a cult following? He had a big cult following. I remember how they tagged February, the February when the elections were held in 2015. And definitely people know he was going to win. People came out en masse to vote. But there are two sides to the story. At first, Nigerians forgave him for all that transpired between 83-ish to 85. And he had a part of redemption. And he made mistakes again. I'll talk about the Umar Diko affair, where we used the Israelis to bring Umar Diko back in a crate. And that affair was botched at Stansted. And Britain felt that we're violating their sovereignty. That affair didn't just stop at Umaradiko. It led to impounding planes in both countries. And a lot of people have said it relates to it, but I don't think it relates to it. There's no real link. But you know, about a year after, that was when in February 86, that was when Britain stopped, you know, allowing free entry to Nigerians. You had to get a visa. That was a blight in our history. Also Decree 4 for journalists. The way journalists were treated. If you were on the receiving end, it was not a good one. People that were beaten on the streets for why? Were against indiscipline. That was not a good one. The governors that were incarcerated. And that's why, if you read the memoirs of Sir Bisi Akande, what he went through, and the fact that he could still even come around with Buhari to do this coalition thing, it was not an easy one for them. I remember how they had to sell him that he was a reformed Democrat. But Buhari
So guys, I'm going to take you through some of the reactions coming from this video where this guy said the reasons most politicians don't use hospitals here in Nigeria is because the hospitals can't treat them. It's not because the hospitals can't treat them. Nigeria has world-class hospitals. Privacy, data security, and also medical secrecy are the reasons. So this person is saying that when politicians come to hospitals in Nigeria, the next moment their result is on the social media. I mean, what they are sick of, there is no law to protect, you know, what people are sick of. And these politicians don't actually want their information to be spreading on the social media. That's why they prefer going outside the country where, you know, medical records are protected by the law. By law, you cannot play with people's medical record. That's why politicians, not because there are no world-class hospitals, you know, in Nigeria. And you heard him listing out some of the hospitals in Nigeria that are really doing well. They are conducting all kinds of surgeries and all that. But, you know, their privacy is their problem. Now, this person, let me take you through some of the reactions. Like this person say, I hate to admit it, but it's got to a point. Privacy may be 30% of the reasons they go abroad for medical treatment. But then again, what are we doing to fix it? Medical records are sensitive personal data protected by Data Protection Act. As usual, our problem isn't the lack of good laws, but our anyhowness attitude towards the law. The fish is rotten from the head anyway. We don't have a culture of healthcare, dignity, and privacy in Nigeria. It's our collective responsibility to respect each other's privacy and insist on it being protected too. This call for introspection on the part of Nigerians. Our leaders come from us, so we all need to change as individuals, communities, to build a better country. Yes, we have to change if our politicians will allow us to change. Is it not these politicians that will teach the Nigerian youths how to collect money to vote them during the elections? Is it not these politicians that will buy gun and give to young people during elections to go after their opponents? Is it not these politicians that they do all kinds of things, not showing example to the young ones? You know, you have seen that in recent times in the universities, common simple elections are turning bloody because they've learned and copied from the people in the head or the top politicians. Now, this other person said, so you are saying that they have failed in providing avenues in which a patient data will be saved. Another person said, so brother, what is the point you are trying to make? Are you justifying the medical tourism attitude? Does this make sense at all? You said there should be a law protecting the data of patients. You said the politicians, broke the health system. You said they can't. Let me read more from this. You said they can't trust the system. So whose fault is it? Are they not the senators? Why can't they pass data protection laws if they have a functioning brain? Why can't they fix and create new systems? What is all this dull excuses you are giving? Are we to conclude that they have senior individuals as our political and elite leaders, or is it something is worse? So this person is actually saying that if that is the problem, why can't they pass a bill to protect people's privacy in Nigeria if that is the reason why they all are just rushing abroad? This person say always slaves make excuses for politicians. So it is okay that the taxpayers' money have paid. The taxpayers have paid for the health care of Buhari for 10 years without knowing what was wrong with him. Is it okay that the country suffers from ineffectiveness of Buhari so that the privacy is maintained? Slaves. This person say, I'm a Christian. We were not raised to insult people, but truth to be told. You they speak English. Come things say you they make sense. Sense is far from you, sir. Now, this other person say, don't raise your children with this mentality, please, because you are talking rubbish, sir. Why is those countries we are all running to working? They have laws and nobody's above the law. Common traffic lights, you cannot go. Common traffic lights, you can go to jail if you don't pay your fine in due time. So think well. Another person said, but King Charles has prostate cancer and they let the world know. Joe Biden was sick and they let the world know. But in Nigeria, you all come up with useless excuses for people that are supposed to be better, that people who are supposed to better our country. Again, it no go better for honor. And this other person says, seriously, some northerners and APC Yoruba Renew seriously need serious educational training to enhance the way of reasoning, because they are the reason why this country is still producing such leaders who are in power, destroying the country growth and its masses. tell Donald Trump to come Nigeria for his medicals, so that he will have privacy from his opposition. Now it seems this one has tetanus in his brain. Imagine talk, I don't know. So okay, let me take more reactions. Like this person say, Oga, your head correct at all. Abi, you just want make a noise. The country our politicians run to, no be human beings build them. The laws that govern and protect patient data and data integrity, no be human beings make them. Stop justifying nonsense. These politicians have failed our country. Another person said, this is not world class. You must meet up in every ramification before being considered as world-class hospital. Don't sugarcoat the nonchalant attitude towards Nigerians. This other person say, it is his audacity, talking rubbish with confidence, but thinking you are making sense. There is logic in what he said. Where is logic in what he said? Is it just like saying Prime Minister of UK doesn't trust the system? We protect his data and will prefer to use Nigeria's system instead. Plus, can someone ask the Mumu why they are calling public officials again? If you know you don't want to eat, don't go near the kitchen. If you are a public official, your health status is to be made public, and if found no longer fit for office, removed. Okay, this guy is saying that if you know you don't want to be hit up, you don't go close to the kitchen. If you know you don't want your health status to be made or open, don't be a public servant. It's only in Nigeria we hide everything, and this other person said, what class hospital without privacy? See, there is no single person defending the government that have sense. Called a bad name here. Let me take another one. And this other person say, I'm defending them. You just got them indicted. You just said the same thing we are saying. They broke the only system we have and left the same system to go somewhere where the people uphold their own system. So the long and short of what Nigerians are saying here is that Nigeria politicians destroy the country and then go to a working system, a working environment to get their own treatment and all that. Now, this person said, that's why they should have laws on such institutions. Have you seen South African president going to UK for treatment? Neither Saudis worry your point. Neither Saudis. Sorry, your point is pointless. It can even be weaponized abroad more in the West. Hackers play. Okay, this person is saying that if actually hackers go after you, it's even easier in the West there, that you don't see other politicians going to other countries. It's only in Africa. Nigeria is number one, This person say, who instituted data protection in the UK? Leaders. Who instituted data protection in Nigeria? Are leaders. Who failed to institute data protection in Nigeria? Are leaders. So whose fault? A failed society is a failed society, no sugarcoating. So guys, let me know what you think about these reactions coming from Nigerians, that Nigerian politicians fail to put any privacy law in place to protect them, if at all they want to protect. Some people have argued that as a public servant, you don't need to hide your health status, you have to make it public. That even when King Charles had cancer, it was announced. When Joe Biden became sick, it was announced. It's only in Nigeria where Nigerian politicians want to hide their privacy. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.